Hey guys, what up? So I just want to come out here real quick and say, breastfeed your baby. And in a little bit, I'm going to tell you why. So, my name is Bianca. If you are new to my channel, hi, welcome, and welcome back. It's been a minute since I posted. But anyway, I was just so inspired, to come out and just really just share my heart and really to share like what I know is on God's heart as well. When it comes to this, it's a little different for my channel, but at the same time, it's really not. Because I'm the type of person, just so y'all know a little bit about me, like, I really just hate falsehoods. I just hate lies. Like, I really want people to understand truth when it comes to whatever, and just getting out the matrix, like, seriously. And it's a lot of things on this planet that people have bought into that are just absolute, just it's not true, and a lot of times it's not even good for our well-being, and we don't even really fully realize it. So, what inspired me to really want to come on here and encourage women to breastfeed their babies is because it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of women have. I know, we live in the 21st century now, so a lot of women work. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know that, being at a job and having businesses and things like that can get in the way or make it more, I'll say it like this, make it more challenging to, breastfeed your baby and all that kind of stuff, right? And so, and just to be honest, giving your baby formula is much easier, right? So, anyway, before I get off too deep into that, what inspired me was I was watching a documentary, Food Inc. Okay, the second part. So I seen the first one like years ago. So I was watching a second documentary, and a lot of the stuff in the documentary I agreed with. Like, they were talking about agriculture and how a lot of these you know bigger companies, they don't want to compete, so what they do is they start buying out their competition and then essentially making their company grow and grow and grow to where they pretty much become a monopoly. And I don't want to give too much of the documentary away, but I watched it on Hoopla, and it's free. So, and it's probably free on YouTube as well. So, anyway, I agree with a lot of the things they said in the documentary, but some of it I didn't really fully agree with. And one of the things that they tried to portray in the documentary, I get what they were trying to do, but to me, it just triggered something in me. And I was like, this is not really the full truth. And or it's not the full picture. And I'm not saying it was malicious on Food Inc.'s part. I just, or whoever created the documentary, I'm just saying, like, okay, it's a little bit more to it than that. So here's the thing. I'm watching a documentary a few days ago, and what they did was they kept showing clips of different females, like, with their phones in grocery stores, like, look y'all, there's no baby formula, and they were like super scared and everything like that, right? And so of course that plays on your heartstrings because you're like, oh my God, how are the babies going to eat if there's no formula? Because again, they were going back into the monopolization of these big companies, and they were putting up like all these statistics and facts, like, oh, it's only two major companies own 80% of the baby formula that's out there. So with it being, this is like what they're portraying. This is why monopolies are bad, guys. Because if something happens with one of those factories, um, since it's only, sorry y'all, since it's only, two companies that own an overwhelming majority of the formula, then essentially if something happens, right, or there's a formula shortage, well, it will be a formula shortage, or it can be a formula shortage because of the monopolization, right? And so, they essentially they showed a cute little baby, and they're like, oh, the baby's gonna starve, or whatever the case is. And like I was saying, they were showing, different clips of women on their social media, that were like, hey, this is scary. Like, I can't even feed my baby, right? So, as a female, I understand the fear that can come over you as a mother, right? Because you like, how the heck I'm gonna feel? Like, it's survival mode. How, like, I understand. I'm not insensitive at all. However, I'm real at the same time, and it's like, let's talk about the full thing. So, in the midst of that, it just I just got triggered, but not mad triggered, but more like it's almost like a light. But honestly, it was really the Holy Spirit, and it just hit me, like it just dropped on me, like boom. And what the Lord was saying to me was, it's really not that they can't feed their babies. The problem is a lot of women have been uneducated or undereducated about this whole concept of breastfeeding. Now, I know most people would agree that breast milk is much better than formula or better than formula. But I'm telling you, it's way better than formula. It's actually even been promoted like, oh, breast formula is like equal to breast milk, and it's like, no, it's not. And it never will be, actually. But here's what really dropped in my spirit. It's not that they can't feed the babies. It's because they have believed that they're not producing enough milk. That's one of the major, like, reoccurring things that women say. And I remember about 2 years ago when that formula shortage happened, and I'm on Facebook like, oh my God, oh my gosh. Like, so many women are just like typing and complaining about not being able to feed their babies because they've probably switched over completely to formula. Like, they may have started off breastfeeding and they tapered off. Now, people taper off for various reasons, but I personally have asked, moms, even back in the day, like, oh, how come you don't breastfeed, And a lot of women have said to me, like, oh, well, I wasn't producing enough milk. I've heard that quite a few times. Like, even if you Google it on the internet, that's like one of the top reasons that women will stop breastfeeding. Because again, most people understand breast milk is healthier. Like, it's just common sense, right? Now, of course, I know some women too, and I'm gonna hit on this too later. But some women are just like, I ain't doing that. Like, that's nasty or whatever, just comments like that. And I'm just like, what? Like, okay. So anyway, back to, one of the major reasons is actually, so I was looking up some like statistics and just doing a little bit of research as well, and it's actually extremely rare for a woman to not produce enough milk. And usually it may be some type of illness the woman has, or just something, very, very rare. It's actually highly uncommon for a woman to not produce enough milk. So then it's like, well, why are so many women saying this, right? And this was before I even did any like research, just on my own off the internet and just asking. I have a sister in Christ who is a doula. She's been a doula for 20 years. She knows, she will talk to you all day about anything that's concerning babies, pregnancy, birth, and lactation. She knows it all. She even some medical procedures like C-sections. Oh my gosh, I ain't even listen. C-sections, that's another one of those things where it's like, it is way too many women getting C-sections. It's not even necessary. But that's another video for another day, because I'm gonna really pray into that and, get some revelation, because I like to, at least have some type of understanding before I come out and talk about things or teach. So I'm not just talking just to be talking. But anyway, back to, so yeah, I was just sitting here in my room, like, and I was thinking to myself, like, is it not that they're not producing enough milk? What if they are producing enough milk? What if they just think that they're not? And it turns out that that's the case, you know. And God confirmed it for sure. And mind you guys, I don't have kids, you know. And it's just, first of all, let me just side note, the stuff God be like, this is just a personal thing, but like, it's so weird how God like shows me stuff and reveals things to me, because I'm not even a candidate for somebody. Like it's like, how would I know that? You know, I don't have kids. You know, I've never been pregnant before, nothing. So I'm sitting here like just getting this download, like how the heck do I know this? And my, sister doula, I didn't ask her these questions until after I watched this documentary, right? Like I knew she was a doula, but I, try to respect people's, business. I don't want to like try to get all this free information, you know what I'm saying? But in this case, I was like, okay, let me ask her about this whole phenomenon of women not, if you want to call it that, of not, being able to produce enough milk. And, she confirmed it. She was like, yeah, no, like they actually do produce enough milk majority of the, like 99.9% of the time. It's that they're not, a lot of times medical professionals, and I will say corporations, right? Because they all work together, right? You got the huge money making, right, Formula Corporation, right? I mean, think about it, y'all. Breast milk is free. Formula is not. Hello. So of course they're going to, you know, uh, partner with big pharma, right? And then big pharma's connected to the hospital. Most people, women have their babies at the hospital. Hello, it's just one big old cycle. And so and a lot of doctors who do deliver babies, they really don't necessarily know much about lactation or anything like that, right? So either, like I said earlier, they're either being not educated properly, or they are being like undereducated, like, or just flat out lied to, really. And so I'm like, okay, what if they're not, what if they are producing enough milk? And so my sister, doula, she gave me she confirmed what I was sitting there thinking about, like, what the heck? And so she was saying, well, first of all, when a woman first, once the placenta is removed from out of the womb, the colostrum actually comes first before the actual breast milk. And colostrum is highly concentrated. It has a lot of antibodies in it that can fight off viruses and infection and everything like that. And so the baby only needs like a teaspoon full. Another thing she said was that the baby's stomach is like this big. So a newborn, you're talking about a newborn baby fresh out the womb, they don't need that much milk. And she was saying that a woman, the way God designed it, a woman's body actually knows exactly how much to produce based off the baby's weight. I'm like, girl, what? I said, this is amazing. Like, this is just amazing. Like, God already set us up for success. You just gotta tap into it, And so, oh, side note, y'all, I saw a video on Instagram the other day. It was just on my feed, y'all. I don't know if it was before I watched the documentary or right after, but it was all around the same time. So this is just interesting too. This lady, I don't remember her name, but she's kind of like you could tell the clip is kind of from back in the day. But she was saying that back in the day, that people didn't give their kids food until they were like 2. And I was like, okay, that's different. Like, I kind of low-key believe it though. I'm gonna have to look into it somewhere, but it's hard to fathom, because we in the 20th century and the 21st century is like, oh, feed the baby exclusively breast milk or formula for the first 6 months, and then you introduce them to food, right? And she is like, no, like back in the day, No, you fed your baby breast milk for 2 years, okay? And then even after that, when they started eating solid food, you still continue to breastfeed. And it's so crazy because, in America, and from my perspective, some people get shunned and shamed, you know, breastfeeding a child past 2 years. And I'm really sitting here thinking about this stuff like, who said that that was weird though, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking about on the breast, like, because some people are like, well, I'm okay with the idea, but I'll just put it in a sippy cup, which is fine, But it's like it's also okay if you want your little 2.5-year-old on the breast nipple, whatever, then who cares? Like, you know, um, first of all, a 2-year-old is still a baby in three. They still in the baby stage of development, actually. So let's just go there, right? But then here's another little thing, like adults can drink breast milk. Like, there's actually no age limit. I'm not saying adults need to be on the breast. I'm not, you know, no thank you. But seriously though, like on all jokes aside, if you are sick or something like that, you can squeeze your breast milk out, put it on the tablespoon, mix it with some, or just eat it straight. And breast milk is that beneficial. Like, it can probably knock out a cold, you know. Um, so I mean, there's so many things I can really get into and talk about. Like, and we have just, I mean, think about this. We as adults drink cow's milk, goat milk, almond milk, whatever kind of milk. It's the thing is we're still drinking milk, so I don't necessarily see anything wrong with uh, breast milk consumption, even for adults. Like, again, obviously it's gonna be tasteful, but um, I don't, it is really that powerful, or whatever. So people actually sell their breast milk. I heard bodybuilders started getting into it, and it was actually building their muscles up in a much healthier way than all the steroids and all the things that bodybuilders kind of do. So I'm just like, okay. I mean, again, we drinking cow's milk. So why the heck we can't have a human milk? Why we can't drink human milk? We are humans. I mean, that actually makes a little bit more sense. I'm just saying, So I've never had breast milk. For what I heard, it tastes really good. I don't know. I found out when I had produced my own. But anyway, back to the point. So, like, again, babies don't need a lot of breast milk, especially those first few weeks. Again, their stomach is super super small, and and I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, dang, I know so many people obviously that have babies, and they are already giving them like that much. Now the bottles are usually like kind of skinnier, in the hospital when I see that. So that may be, enough, but maybe not. That might even be too much. And she was telling me, my doula sister was telling me how, like, actually, majority of babies, especially in the Western world, they actually are feeding them too much. So we're already in stretching their stomachs. So we're already setting the kids up to be obese, from out the womb. Like, so anyway, I do want to read something else though. So, but I can maybe do a part two and just kind of really do a rundown of like the ingredients that's in formula and all of the health benefits of breast milk. But I just want to really just come on here and just give some perspective to some moms who is, maybe really do want to breastfeed, or, maybe you're pregnant right now, or maybe you have a baby, and you kind of stop because you thought you weren't producing enough or whatever. And even for those, if you actually do have a real issue that's like really causing you to not produce enough, and there are some signs, You can look at the baby's urine and the baby's poop to really be able to tell if the baby's getting enough or not. So like if your baby is um, peeing in the diaper, I think it was like 5 to 6 times a day, they're good. Like, and this is if you're exclusively breastfeeding, right? They're good. If they're pooping like 3 times a day and it's kind of like soft or even runny, then that's an indication that they're good. And just side note, even for us adults, it's kind of similar. You can look at your urine and your feces to tell if you're hydrated or not. So the same principle applies. Obviously, babies are human, so nothing really changes. We just kind of don't really realize these things. But anyway, I do want to just like encourage some women who, um, you may have thought you weren't producing enough and nobody really told you like actually you are. You probably ain't really think about it like, yeah, my baby is kind of small. I mean, how much milk do they really need? And we live in a country, especially if you live in the United States of America like me, you know our everything we do is like extra. We our portion sizes are too big for food. Like, I'm overweight, you feel me? Your girl pushing 260 out here in these streets, but I carry it well though. But but seriously, we've been conditioned to eat too much sugar. And again, I ain't against sugar, right? But we just eat it too much. It's in everything and it's not necessary, right? High sodium, again, not necessary. But salt has a lot of benefits, especially sea salt, right? Sea salt is good, but we have it in excess. Not to, I ain't even gonna get into all the artificial stuff. Like, now that stuff is just not necessary at all, right? But I eat it. I'm coming away from it. Like, I'm really like, my pastor, she's like really influencing me with this like organic, like non, like being non-GMO and organic conscious, which I'm already, I always been health conscious, but it is challenging, right? Living in a society where fast food is pushed in your face, Doritos and all of this stuff is just pushed in your face, all this unhealthy food. And so it's like right here, and you can't help but, buy it, so we have to like condition our minds and get self-control and discipline. Like, I care about my body. My body is a temple. Like, I want to live here. I want to be here for my grandkids and whatever else. So it's like, I don't need to eat all of this junk for real. Like, it's really not that serious. And the crazy part about it is, but here's the good news though, when it comes to food, there's anything that's like unhealthy out there, you can get an alternative. You know what I mean? That's much better. You know what I mean? So like, I like Trader Joe's. That's my jam. I shop there like majority of the time. Everything they sell is non-GMO. Like, even if it's not organic, it's at least non-GMO. So it's like, okay, it's safe. Everything in their store, like, that's how that's their brand. So that's kind of cool. So it's like, okay, I can kind of shop with a peace of mind or whatever. But yeah, we just eat too much, or we eat too frequently, and then our portions when we eat is a lot. So we're eating a lot, 2 times, like, portion size and frequency. So I can see why psychologically, this is crazy how this is connected. I didn't even know I was going to say any of this because I'm really just freestyling for real. But it is crazy how psychologically I can see why mothers feel like, oh, my baby's not getting enough milk. Like, that's kind of low-key sinister though. Like, not necessarily on the mother's part, but just the mindset just the system behind it, you know like that's crazy. Like, because a lot of this is really about making money, y'all. So I know breastfeeding is not always easy, especially if you are a single parent. Having support helps tremendously. um which is why I'm an advocate for marriage between a man and a woman, and really just waiting on the Lord to ordain your marriage, right? Because, um, child, that's another video, but um, this is why I am an advocate for that because it's so much easier. I can imagine, having that support, one from your husband, but then, if you have a mother or auntie or whoever in addition to that, I mean, that's even better. And I know everybody doesn't have a strong, family dynamic outside of, a spouse or whatever, so I understand that too. And that does, kind of suck because it's much easier to give the baby formula. But like I said in the beginning, breastfeed your baby, okay? Like, forget all of that. Because this is what I believe, like, seriously. If you want to do anything that's beneficial or good or worth it, like, I believe, like, God will make a way for you. Like, seriously, like, it really just comes out like, seek him, pray, be like, God, I really want to breastfeed because I know it's like extremely healthy and all of the things, but it's challenging because I work. I don't, whatever your issue is, what I'm telling you, because God wants you to breastfeed your baby. Like, I'm just gonna be frank. Like, God wants you to breastfeed your baby. He wouldn't have gave us breasts, us women breasts, if they weren't to be used. And God is so intelligent. Like, honestly, like, everything nutrition wise, like, you think God's stupid? Like, God knew to put whatever your baby needed in milk, in breast milk. You know what I mean? Because on the video I watched with the lady who was saying, like, actually back in the day people breastfed for about till the baby was about 2, exclusively. Okay, then they started being introduced to some other things. And people, I was reading the comments, and people were like, "No, breast milk, that's not enough nutrients and da 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 and blah 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 blah," And I was just like, "Why are y'all so mad?" Like, it's really not that deep, and people gotta realize, like, y'all thinking with a 21st century mindset. Right, like, they probably really did that back in the day. And then some people's like, well, they didn't know no better back then, whatever, whatever. Well, I mean, they seem to be. I mean, I know research and medicine and things, get developed that, changes things. I get that, but some stuff is just like, why did we ever get away from that? Like, how about we go back to that? It's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, some stuff is just, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and that's the reality. So, but anyway, I do want to touch on real quick, the women who are like low-key against breastfeeding that have children. Now, I just got a straight up problem with that because I'm trying to understand, how are you a whole woman and a female and you just like despise breastfeeding? Like, where you kind of like, nobody about to do all of that, and like, y'all know them type. If you, maybe you ain't never ran into them, I hope you don't, because it's mind-boggling to me, because I'm just like, but I want to read a scripture because I really feel like, honestly, if you have that attitude about breastfeeding towards your baby, to me, honestly, I think it's child abuse and it's really neglect. And it just kind of, it just, not even kind of, but it goes into what this scripture is saying. I want to read this real quick. And so this is 2 Timothy. So this is the Apostle Paul context, and he was writing to Timothy, who was actually one of his spiritual sons. And this context of this passage is just talking about, like, how the last days are going to be, like, how people are going to think, function, and operate in the last days. And so, if you don't know, I'm here to tell you, we in the last days, okay? Now, I don't know when Jesus is going to come back exclusive. Nobody knows that. But, the last days could be another 1,000 years before he returned. But the point is, we're in the last days. Like, that's the point. And so it says, you should know this, Timothy, that in the last days, this is the NLT, by the way, um, there will be difficult times. Hello. For people will love only themselves and their money. Hello. Hello. Um, I mean, earlier I just kind of touched on big pharma and these corporations, because a lot of it really goes back to that. Um, they will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents. Child, these kids today, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. So they will slander others and have no self control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. Trying to, yeah, I could probably stop there. Um, I think y'all get the point. But I want to go to the part where it says, where is it? They will be unloving and unforgiving. So if I'm not mistaken, the King James version says they will be without natural affection. Listen, I question your love for your child if you really despise the whole concept of breastfeeding. Like, seriously, that's kind of unnatural. That's an unnatural affection. Like, it's in your nature, like, as a woman, right? And I'm not a feminist. Y'all probably picked that up. But I'm not trying to come off like you know how, like, people will try to, how, like, liberal women, left wing, most likely, probably women who voted for Kamala Harris, most likely. Listen, baby, this ain't that channel. But sometimes people will play identity politics. That's what I'm trying to say. And be like, well, as a woman, you should this. No, I'm not trying to do that. But at the same time, like, it's in your nature as a woman to want the best for your child. And even something that is, I don't even want to call it small, because I really don't think breastfeeding is small. I really believe it's major. Like, it's really a big deal. Like, it's really that necessary. But to me, that does speak volume to how you perceive yourself as a mother, a woman, and to me, that's not even to me, but I do believe that that's what the Bible, like, is talking about. And since I brought up, Kamala Harris and liberal women, I might as well just say this. Abortion, for you to, it literally says it right here. They will be unloving, unforgiving. They will hate what is good. They will, I wanted to read this real quick. Where is it at? I read it earlier. It says something about they will love pleasure rather than God, something to that fact. But that's the thing. Like, how? Think about it. How do you have a baby in your womb? Like, this is your seed. Like, this baby has half your DNA. Like, this is a gift that God gave you, right? And you are willing to murder your own baby. Like, you willing to go lay on this table, put your legs in the stirrups, and have them suck and pull and extract your child out of you. Like, that is unloving. Like, that's unloving. That's not natural. That's not a natural affection, right? Like, that's not having because women protect too, right? As a mama bear, like, you have your baby, you like, oh, that's my baby, that's my baby, right? And I know people may be like, you don't have kids, but I am a woman. I was born with mother tendencies. You don't have to be a mother. Like, you don't have to physically birth children to be a mom, or understand that whole dynamic and concept. I know some women ain't in tune with it with kids, and see, that's the part that's crazy, because people, like, I've had people say stuff to me like back in the day, like when I was 19, 20. I'm 36, and I remember people don't say it too much to me now because I shut it down. I do not play that whole, like, oh, you don't got no kids, so you can't say da 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 da. I don't let people do that to me. Like, you're not gonna gaslight me. Um, but it's like, how you gonna sit up here and say, because I don't have kids, I can't say X, Y, Z, but you got kids and you not doing X, Y, Z? Like, make it make sense. Like, so really, I think a lot of it boils down to choice and people being in tune with how God naturally made them, or whatever the case is. Because same thing with, like, people abandoning their kids. Like, I understand to some extent, like, okay, people may have some mental illness, or people may just be like, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can take care of this child, whatever. I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, it's not, I'm just stating the truth. Like, it's not natural to abandon your child, right? It's not natural. Even that whole, like, oh, leave the baby over there and let him cry. I don't like that. That's not motherly. Like, don't leave my baby crying. Pick my baby up. Excuse me, nah. Like, like, no, that's not. That's traumatizing. That's not, I know that sound good, and I know a lot of us, I don't know about other people, but in the Black community, I've heard people say that, like, because, they think they don't want to spoil the baby. It is like, it's called nurturing. This is why you have adults in society right now, the same ones y'all talk about, like, oh, why they shoot this person, and why they acting like that in Walmart, or da 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 da, right? Or it could be your coworker. Like, what's wrong with them? They probably didn't get nurtured. Like, this stuff starts in the womb. Like, seriously, it really is that serious, and it really matters. So, you got to think about this type of stuff. We real quick to, like, talk about people's behavior, but then at the same time encourage behaviors that create the behaviors. Like, make it make sense. Like, the math isn't mathing. Like the same people that'll be like, leave the baby, just let them cry, will be the same person that go to their job and talk about their coworker who does not have emotional intelligence. Like, I'm just saying, like, so anyway, that is all, y'all. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know, if you had an issue with breastfeeding, or if I encourage you, to go ahead and breastfeed and really just, make that sacrifice and do what's right and do the best thing for your child. And yes, guys, I will be back with another video. And once again, my name is Bianca, and thank you for watching. Toodles.